Hello and welcome to the last video that I'm going to do with the Celestial Nirvana for my week of Celestial Nirvana here on my channel. You are going to see this palette come back very soon in pet pairing videos, but for the time being I think I'm kind of done like doing looks with it alone. I'm starting to get the itch to pull out other things from my collection, so as much as I like this palette and I'm going to give you a few of my final thoughts in the end of the video, I would really like to go back to like switching it up a little bit more. So we're going to do actually a very smoky eye look today because coincidentally I'm going out for dinner in a little bit. It is very late in the afternoon. The lighting is completely crazy because the weather in this country is completely insane. It's either really dark and cloudy or like full-on sunshine in my bedroom. So if you see light changing abruptly every 3 seconds, blame it on the Dutch weather, not my fault. And since I'm wearing this beautiful dark green dress, you can probably already get a little bit the direction of where this look is going to go. I want to do a green smoky eye. But before we get into the exact look, I actually need to still finish the rest of my makeup because I had started applying my makeup and then I thought, why don't I just do like a chatty get ready with me type of video. So I had just reached the point where I was going to apply my concealer, and I'm going to take this NYX Bear With Me concealer. I'm not going to apply anything underneath my eyes because I just did my like 4D mask treatment and I feel like my eyes are pretty well hydrated at the moment and I don't need to pull out a additional luminizer. But I'm going to go straight into this concealer because I'm still trying to decide how I feel about it, and every time I wear it I always have to think, do I like it, do I not like it? I still can't make up my mind. I bought this concealer because one of you recommended it as a very affordable version and a very hydrating formula, because I'm always complaining about how my under eyes are really dry, and I have to say it is a very hydrating formula and I think upon application it looks quite nice. The only part of this concealer that I'm really not sure yet how it makes me feel is how this wears throughout the day. Sometimes I just feel like in the end of the day it doesn't look as like nice and fresh anymore, but that could also be because I'm looking at my makeup 15 hours later and that's how my concealer always looks like 15 hours later. So I really like just need to make it a point to look at this concealer specifically. Like if I look at my under eyes now, it has a decent but not like overwhelming amount of coverage, which is also not what I'm looking for. You can still see a little bit of like the blue, you know, stuff underneath my eyes peeking through, but that's never really a problem for me. But I do like that it doesn't dry out my under eyes immediately, which is what a lot of other or like most other concealers do. For my foundation I'm going to pick out this NARS Reflecting foundation from my collection because I cannot for the life of me remember how I feel about this foundation. I feel like I liked it, I didn't love it, I liked it, and I would really like to revisit it now that I am a more normal shade of my skin again. And I think the biggest issue I always have with this foundation is that the pump, like one pump is just slightly not enough and 2 pumps is way too much for me. Like this is way too much. This is a bit of a waste. I remember sort of liking this foundation, but let's revisit it and see how it looks like on the skin and also how it wears throughout the day so that I have a bit of an idea how I feel about it. Okay, this looks pretty nice and pretty natural, but look how much has remained on the back of my hand. So now I'm doubting whether I didn't in the end decide that maybe 1 pump of this foundation was enough for me, because 2 pumps is definitely way too much. Since I can't clearly remember what the longevity of this foundation is, I think it was a pretty decent longevity, but I really can't recall because it's been a hot minute. I'm going to take the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder and apply a little bit of that. It is a bit more mattifying and it makes my foundations last a little bit longer. So I am going to go for this powder. Now for bronzer, let me show you again this Gucci bronzer that I picked up very recently. I have to tell you, every time I see this bronzer or I pull it out from my collection, I'm just so happy looking at it because I think the packaging is so freaking stunning. And I do actually like the bronzer, and I really wanted to demo it for you with a shade of blush that matches it a bit better, because the first time I used this with the blush that I picked up from Gucci, which was a color that was completely mismatched to this bronzer, because this bronzer is a bit warmer and the blush is quite much more cool toned. I'm gonna be honest with you, I think in terms of like formula, I don't find this bronzer to be something exceptional and never seen before. Honestly, it's a nice formula. It's very like, it has a little bit of luminosity to it, which I really like. I like the tone, but I shan't lie to you, 99% of the reason why I love it so much is the freaking packaging. For blush, I'm going to pull out a Pat McGrath Desert Orchid. No one is surprised that, you know, I think this blush is going to be the perfect match for this bronzer. And also with that, I'm going to let you know in the end what I decided for the rest of the items from the holiday collection, because lo and behold, Pat decided that the lipsticks are still not going to be released this past week. God knows when they're going to be released. They're super unhelpful on any sort of social media. So I have no idea whether they're coming next week or in November or next year. So I got really tired of waiting and a bit impatient, because now people are really like starting to showcase the products from the rest of the collection, especially like the 5 pans. And I would really like to try those for myself. So in the end, I decided that I don't need a classic red that badly, which is probably a good thing because I have like a ton of classic reds. Why do I need another one? If anything, I should buy something that I don't already have. So in the end, I decided to get the Bronze Bliss 5 pan, which nobody is surprised about. I'm also taking the Pat McGrath highlighter in the shade Golden Moonlight to highlight my cheekbones. I also decided to purchase the single blush in the shade Nude Venus 2 because I love the original Nude Venus and I'm really intrigued by the shade of Nude Venus 2. And I decided to in the end pick up the holiday highlighter because I bought the blush and I wanted to buy something that's in a nice kit together, but none of the items that I wanted were in a kit together. So I bought Bronze Bliss separately, and then I saw that the blush and the highlighter actually came together as a kit, which made the highlighter significantly less expensive. And then with the 10% off code, I figured I might as well, because I actually really like Lunar Nude, the holiday highlighter, which is in the same formula as the new one, but from last year. It's like that beautiful like VR blitz type of formula, really gorgeous highlighter formula. I like pretty much all of Pat McGrath's highlighter formulas, except the highlighter that comes in the Bridgerton, the big wheel thing. That one for some reason doesn't really work all that well for me, but I love every other formula. I also really like these guys. I'm going to spritz my sponge here with Fix Plus, but I decided in the end that it's worth for me to get the highlighter because I'm getting so much use out of the one from last year, and the shade of the new one sounds like something that I would really enjoy. So I decided to go for those items from the holiday collection. And I decided to also purchase the Matte Trans lipstick in Flash 5, which I've had in my thoughts for like the longest time. Usually the price of the Matte Trans lipsticks for us at least is 41 euros, and this one was 24. And I was like, you know what, it's on sale. I've always wanted to have this color, and honestly it's a much more unique color to my collection than a classic red, which would have been Forbidden Love from the holiday collection. That's really rude, stop it. This time I also didn't make use of the express shipping because I figured they also have this like message that due to the overwhelming amount of orders, they might not be able to process my order for another 2 weeks. And then I thought, paying 17 euros for express shipping to have to wait for another 3 weeks? Are you fucking insane? Hell no. So I decided to just go for like the free shipping option. Also because next week my parents are coming to visit, well not next week, next weekend my parents are coming to visit for a week. And if by some sort of magic the items do actually arrive really quickly, I can't do anything with them anyway because I don't usually have time to film when my folks are here. So I figured, whatever, let's just call it a day, do the free shipping. When it arrives, it arrives. I'm just happy that I'm finally done with placing the order for the rest of the items, and now I can chill on the holiday collection. Let me tell you what we're going to do for eyeshadow so that we can do that and continue chatting. And I think for the rest, I would like to chat with you about my final thoughts on this palette. So today's look, like I said, green smoky eye. I'm going to go in with this shade first because the secret of a smoky eye is that you absolutely need something to blend the dark shadow that you're going to apply on your lids with in your crease, and I think this is the perfect shade in this palette for that. I'm going to apply this one all over my lashes and blend it out with this shade, obviously. And then I'm going to go in with a little bit of this like greenish gold over top of the dark green just to see how that looks. I'm going to pop this one in the inner corner, and I think I'm just going to complete the look with this on my lower lashes. So nothing too complicated in terms of the eyeshadow, but we're just going for like a really like smoky, sultry eye look. So Celestial Nirvana palette, what are my final thoughts? I think the only question you need to ask yourself when it comes to this palette is, do you need matte eyeshadows that are colorful, and do you need them to be from Pat McGrath? I will say these are impressive mattes, like colorful mattes. I think that most brands have been getting really good, like especially like indie brands have been getting really good at formulating those. So you don't necessarily need to have matte colorful eyeshadows from Pat McGrath. You have a bunch of decent like indie eyeshadows. I don't necessarily think that you need the ones from Pat, but if you don't have any colorful eyeshadows and you want to have them from Pat McGrath, then this palette is not going to disappoint you, because in terms of the tones and the formula, these mattes are truly outstanding. They're really good mattes. There is really no fault that I can find in these colorful mattes. In terms of, you know, people wanting colorful mattes, I think Pat gives exactly what we wanted and so much more. Now, if you're buying this palette because you think, well, I'm gonna get some use out of those colorful mattes every now and then, but I'm really here for Pat McGrath's metallic formula, because Pat McGrath's metallic shimmer glittery eye formula is outstanding, then I don't know that this is the palette for you. I'm now going to start packing the green matte shadow on my lids, by the way. And I'm going to start by applying that here, very close to the lashes, and then slowly bringing that upwards to meet with the taupe shade I put in the crease. Yes, so the metallic and shimmer shades. Obviously I'm not referring to like the baked shadows or the special corner on the right side of the Mothership palettes. You are never going to get those in the Mega Mothership palettes. These are meant to be much more affordable, and they do not feature any of her like really luxurious formulas. But if you have Celestial Divinity and you have Celestial Odyssey and you expect the metallics and the like shimmer shadows to be of the same like impact, I think you're going to be disappointed, or at least I was. And with that I want to say the metallics in this palette are not bad. Some of them are really pretty. Just to show you a couple of examples here. This shade, absolutely stunning, gorgeous tone, beautiful formula, beautiful shine. This is a really nice neutral shade. It has a tiny bit of sparkle to it, nothing too interesting, but still really pretty. This is a very beautiful, like vibrant blue. Again, nothing too crazy in terms of glitter, it's just a nice blue. This one is very shiny. You know, they're good metallic eyeshadows, but they're just not very exciting. I feel like in her previous palettes, in the previous Mega Mothership palettes, she has far more exciting eyeshadows, even in her metallic formula. I've mentioned several times Bronze Nova from Celestial Odyssey, which is one of my absolute favorite neutral eyeshadows of all time. I think that shadow is just absolutely outstanding. We can all agree Citrine Envy from that same palette is sublime. And then from Celestial Divinity, the purple shade that was in the red Star Wars palette. I have the Star Wars palette, so I refer to them as the red and the C-3PO Star Wars palettes. That purple from the red Star Wars palette, that is an outstanding metallic shade. It has such interesting shifts to it, and it is just such an interesting eyeshadow. Nothing like this is present in the Celestial Nirvana palette. So if you're buying this palette thinking that you're going to get those beautiful Pat McGrath metallics and you'll do with the mattes, you know, they'll be fine, you'll do something with them at some point, then please don't buy this palette. You should buy this palette, I think, only if your deep desire is to own colorful mattes from Pat McGrath. I think you can still do some very interesting looks when you layer some of the metallics in this palette over the mattes, which is also what we're going to do today with that greenish gold shade. You can also use this palette a lot as a supporting palette when you are pulling out for your motherships, and I think a number of you who are Pat McGrath fans are buying it exactly for this purpose, to use it together with your other palettes. So beautiful. This layered so beautifully, it doesn't like fade when you start blending it, it sticks really well, it has a beautiful rich vibrancy to it. So like I said, the mattes, you cannot go wrong with these mattes. They're really good colorful mattes. So for this next step, I'm going to take something like a glitter glue. You can take the Intensifies stick from Pat McGrath, or you can take whatever glitter glue you have in your collection. And I'm actually going to apply a little bit of that using my finger, because especially here over top of the green shade, I don't want to put the stick in, just because I feel like I'm going to smear everything together and make a mess. Using my fingers, I cleaned the stick a little bit so that I can also shove it here into my inner corners. And I'm also going to run it on my lower lashes, because that will really help with the longevity of the green matte on my lower lashes throughout the evening or the day. And now I think just using the same brush on which I had the matte green, I'm going to go into the metallic green gold. And I'm going to apply that over top. And I'm also going to kind of work it together with the green, because I don't necessarily want this to be super like metallic and green. I really want the matte green underneath to still peek through a little bit. I'm going to clean off the little brush on which I applied the shades so far, and I'm going to go into that light metallic champagne gold, the one right here. I actually think this shade layered over top of the green matte would also look really pretty, because it has a bit more of like a copper tone to it, so that would work really beautifully with the green too. I also need to come clean. Obviously in this whole week there are two shades that or three actually, that we didn't really touch that much, and those are this hot coral, this hot like Barbie pink, and this warmer purple over here. I haven't really done that much with those shades, because for one, they're not really much my kind of shades, and second of all, we're here in like full-on fall, and these are very summery colors to me, especially the hot pink and the coral, and I just don't have appropriate clothing to pair them with. I will try to use them in the near future just so I can report back, but they just look like vibrant, nice eyeshadows. I'm going to start applying the green here on the lower lashes now, by the way, just to complete the look. I'm much more into those like blues, greens, and that like cooler toned purple, which by the way lightly stained my lids. I don't know if you remember, we did this look a couple of days ago with this shade in my crease, and it did lightly stain my crease. Now take a good look at the look as it looks now, because I want to actually now pull out something a bit more glittery, because there's no way in hell that I'm going to go for like a night out for like a fancy dinner and I'm not going to wear glitter. So if you will excuse me, I am going to pop just the tiniest bit of glitter in the center of my lids. And for that I'm going to grab my Iconic Illumination Quad from the holiday collection in 2018, and I'm going to take this shade here, which is this beautiful like light golden champagne, and I'm going to apply that here in the center of the lid, just for some extra definition and sparkle, but mainly for the sparkle, because like I said, how am I going to go out for dinner without glitter? That's unheard of. So to conclude my little thoughts here and actual review of the Celestial Nirvana palette and just the Celestial Nirvana collection, I maintain what I said in my like reaction video to the announcement of this collection, that I think this is an absolutely epic collection, very like multifaceted, very versatile, very different from Pat McGrath, and honestly there is something for anybody out there. I cannot believe that you cannot pick anything out of this collection. I think if you really wanted to get something from it, there is absolutely something for you in this collection. And when it comes to this specific palette, I think overall I want to give it a very positive review, to be honest, because I think if you just look at it as a standalone palette in terms of its quality, it's great quality. It's also something very different from Pat McGrath Labs. It's something a lot of people have been asking her to do, which is give them those beautiful, colorful mattes. I am very disappointed with the metallics in this palette, not because they're bad metallics, but because they are not duochromy, they're not super glittery, there's nothing very exciting and interesting to them. I can always pull out a bunch of my other Pat McGrath palettes to fix that though, so for me that's not really a problem. I bought this palette because I do a lot of Pat McGrath looks for YouTube. I use Pat McGrath Labs quite exclusively also in my personal life, so to me this is a great pairing palette that expands the range of the Pat McGrath base looks that I can do so much. Like, it opens a whole new realm of possibilities just because I have finally these colorful mattes to pair with the Mothership palettes or with a lot of the glittery eyeshadows that are found in the rest of her collection. So for me this is a very valuable palette and I can see myself using it a lot. I think this really adds something to my collection, and that cannot be said for a lot of other releases from Pat McGrath. I am very partial to her brand, so to me every single release from her adds something to my collection, but a lot of people would argue that a bunch of those like rosy palettes that we have gotten in the past 2 years are so repetitive that they're not really adding that much to your existing collection, and I think this does. But with that, I'm also going to be honest with you, I haven't tried the 5 pans yet, so I cannot vouch for that new formula. I cannot tell you for sure how that will make me feel, but I will tell you completely honestly, I would have been over the moon if she had released more of those Blitz Astral quads. I've been dreaming of those Blitz Astral quads ever since 2018, and you can see, like, just now, that final touch with that Astral from the Iconic Illumination quad was really what this look needed to be completed, at least for me personally. So I will forever hope that at some point she first of all brings back those Blitz Astral quads, and second of all that she has not abolished her baked formula, because since the second Bridgerton palette, which was released mid-year, like somewhat before mid-year, we haven't really gotten any more baked eyeshadows, and she has released quite some eyeshadows since then. So I'm genuinely worried that she's phasing out the baked eyeshadows, and I literally want to shed crocodile tears if that's the case. So let's hope that that is not the case and she's just like trying different things, you know, trying to surprise us and remain always different, which I really like. I do like that she's always, you know, also bringing out new things, but I do also hope that she's going to stick to her iconic formulations, which to me are the baked eyeshadows. I hope you can do something with this information and it helps you decide whether you would like to own the Celestial Nirvana palette or not. Like I said, it's a little bit unfair to review the whole palette because there are a few eyeshadows that I haven't really used that much, but I think I got a pretty good idea of the quality of the matte eyeshadows by just using the rest of them, so I don't really expect that these more vibrant ones will be any different, and I'm sure at some point we're going to talk about them in a different, you know, time of the year when they're a bit more appropriate to be used. For now, you can rest assured you're going to see Celestial Nirvana come back in pet pairing videos very, very soon. Do let me know what you thought about this look, about my overall thoughts about this palette. As usual, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to go enjoy my dinner now, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!